Welcome all as we congregate to the greatest toy line in community, ever growing, ever changing. As we collect and adapt these figures to our own imaginations and embrace the fun, there's much to learn, especially if you're new to Mythics. Hello, friends, and welcome to another night or another show of New to Mythics, episode 39. I have a special guest, Gina Marie, Legion's Ladies, and the Cabal community, and a friend to us all. Welcome, glad that you're here. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. It's taken us a little bit to connect. Schedule wise, but I'm glad we finally got to before Christmas happened. But how are you? How's everything going?
Good. Since we got back from Legion's Con, I've started truly customizing, so it's been fun.
Yes, I've got slides. I will be showing that. But let's slow it down a little bit. Let's start a little bit. Let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
But first I want to ask, did you guys get COVID too, or
no? We got lucky.
You dodged it.
Not good. We got lucky.
Oh man.
Yeah, everybody came back with the con crud, and
oh man,
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it when I started seeing it start ticking.
Yes.
I actually ended up working from home that following week because I was like, hey guys, I got exposed to con crud and I don't want to be patient zero at the office. So,
right. Yeah, you don't want to be the one spreading it around.
Yeah, but we got lucky, thank goodness.
That is great. Yeah, because almost everyone. Oh yeah, I was.
Oh,
and you know how men are, like we're babies. Like I was like, I'm dying.
You got times 12. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
In case I don't make it, give my collection to, here's a list I made of. Yeah, give it to Gina. But it was bad. And it was funny was that a lot of the people that I interviewed, like on shows that I haven't put out yet, like pre-recorded ones, like I sound terrible. I look worse. And a lot of people that I was talking to were sick. So it was just like, everybody. So in January, you'll start seeing some of those shows where people, and I'm like, I don't feel good.
Oh no.
I had such an amazing time. It was
so good. It was so good.
Yes.
It's worth the risk of con crud.
Yes. I will pay that price. It was worth it. Absolutely. Yeah. We're going to get there. So I want to start basically, since it's my show and I'm self-centered. I want to start where I first met you. I guess I would say. So I met you at, was it IshCon?
IshCon, yeah.
Okay, so I've known Terrence for maybe a year, a little bit less than a year,
probably, because he just started collecting the line not this past summer, but the summer before.
Right.
He founded a PowerCon and he went looking at the Motu tribute figures.
Yeah. Terrence was like, he was posting and like kind of like signifying what he was doing. Like he had this idea to sell all these different, figures and toys that he had. And at the time they were the Four Horsemen that had the mystery, the blind boxes, so it was a great time for him to jump in, and him posting really caught my attention. I'm like, okay, this guy's got a plan, and he's gonna sell, like he had it like all figured out. Like, I'm gonna sell all these toys and make this much money, and then I'm gonna buy this many boxes, and that should give me, like, he had it like all like mathed out. Like, I'm like, this guy really put some thought into it.
Yeah. Well, and it was really funny because like they announced that, I want to say like the week of his birthday, but like after his birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So like I had just bought his birthday present, which was Cowardice.
Oh,
And that was
really?
so
Okay, I
technically
didn't
that's the
know that.
first Mythic figure I've ever purchased. It was not for me though.
I'm taking
Um,
off my socks. I'm
and
getting down. I'm
oh,
getting
you're
comfortable.
getting down into it.
Get, getting
Um,
comfortable.
Perfect. Um, but yeah, so that's a funny story too. So again, he's always been a toy collector. And we would watch all the different toy shows and stuff like that. So like when I started meeting people from the toy community, some of them I already felt like I knew because I'd watched them on shows or we had interacted with them on
Yes.
shows and stuff like that. But it was funny because like Oz's Clubhouse was one of the
Mhm.
ones we used to watch regularly, even before he started, with Mythics. And so Oz was one of the few toy people I knew. And I was like, I don't know I mean, he's got so much stuff. I don't know what he has, what he
Right.
needs. And there was
It's
no way
tough.
for me to be like, hey, babe, what do you actually want? Like, I was trying to be sneaky.
Yes.
I reached
I
out to
get that.
Oz because I had found, and I was like, I know Cowardos is one of the ones that he wanted. And I didn't know if it was like, is it good? Is this like a good price? Like, what, I don't know any of this. I'm going in blind. I have no idea, So I'm flipping stuff to Oz and going, is this good?
Did he have any mythics at the time?
He had plenty of Mythics at the time. And that was the thing, was like, I knew some of his Grail pieces, which were, I knew if I spent that kind of money, he'd wring my neck. But like, I knew Cowardos was one of the ones that he wanted. But like, I didn't know if it was a good price. I didn't know, like, I mean, I could see that the seller because it was an eBay. And I could see that the seller was like, had good reputation and all that stuff. But I was like, I don't know if this is a good price, not a good price.
You don't really
I don't
know.
know.
Right.
You don't know. So I was like, I was phoning a friend and Oz was my buddy. But what's hysterical is if you go back, I want to say it was probably like February-ish, maybe March. Oz did a show about what's your Grail item? What are the items that you're looking for? And that was because I had reached out to him going, I need ideas for Terrence for his birthday.
Oh, so you gave him that idea. He's like,
he asked for that so that we could find out sneakily
oh,
Terrence wanted for his
wow.
birthday.
That's a long way around to get to just like, we could have just asked Terrence, I guess.
I mean, like, because again, I would ask him and he'd be like, oh, I don't need anything. I'm fine. I don't need anything. And I'm like, it's your birthday. I want to buy you something. And he's like, no, I don't need anything.
I got enough. I've got you, babe. I don't need anything else. I'm good.
He's like, we don't need to do anything big. No. And I'm like, ah. So I phoned a friend and Oz was my buddy.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah. I was just like, this guy is like balls to the wall. Like he is diving in head first into this. So I'm like, I gotta talk to this guy. So like I kind of reached out and we just started chatting up. And I think I had him on, a couple times just talking about his, his story. And I just thought it was really interesting. But here's my thing, like, how did it become your thing as well? So like, were you kind of just like on the sidelines and you like started checking things out?
We started like, again, I'd watch the shows with him and I'd see the figures and the figures are awesome. Like they are really cool. But like Tanya McCoy always says, you come for the toys, you stay for the community. I think I did it in reverse because again, I kind of knew the people and I was there for Terrence. So was it May? I think it was May was Joe Fest. So that was the first Mythic participating con that I was at. Because we do like the little local things here and whatever, but like Mythic wasn't there. Four Horsemen wasn't there. But we went to Joe Fest in Atlanta. And Ish was running the table. Jeremy was there. The Purple Gang Gang guys were there. Ryan Zarek was there. Snowy was there. And I got to meet everybody. And just how welcoming and warm and just wonderful all these people. And so I got roped in by the people.
Like these people are kind of cool. I kind of like these guys.
These really nice guys. Like everybody's like just so welcoming and just like they'll sit there and they'll bullshit with you. Okay.
Yeah, you're fine. No, you're fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there's no pretension.
Right. everybody just like chattering and, there was a couple other people there from the different toy communities and toy shows and stuff that he's on as a guest fairly regularly. And so it was just a really cool, really fun time. And that's where he bought me my first Mythic piece, which was Father Christmas, because I love Christmas and I have tons of decorations and stuff. And I saw the Father Christmas and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. So that became my first figure. That was my own. And he had picked up a Thrace for me because he knew I would eventually want one of those. And so she's actually who I turned into Elphaba.
I've got pictures.
Yeah.
We're gonna get there.
But so I started amassing a couple of them as I went, but I really was going, at first it was just to hang out with Terrence, spend time together, like a little vacation. And so I teased like at Joe Fest, I'm like, I'm here to carry all your crap, huh? And he was like, yeah, pretty much. And I think there's like, I took pictures of myself with like his cart full of stuff. And I'm like, the keeper of the crap.
I think I've seen that picture. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I was the guard of the stuff. And so, but we had such a good time and I just made all of these really great connections with people. And so when IshCon came up, he was like, he's like, you really, I'm going to go back to Joe Fest for a second. We saw who was selling the 3D heads, the printed heads. And I was like, oh my God, look at that one. Oh my God, look at that one. And he's like, you actually are having fun. Like he expected me to be bored. He expected me not to be having a good time, but just to kind of go. And he was like, you're actually having fun. I'm like, yeah, I'm actually having fun. Yeah. And so it's just like, I don't know. I actually have found that I love cons. It's not something I ever, 4 years ago, Gina would have never thought, hey, cons are going to be my thing.
Right.
But I have such a good time at them. So when IshCon was coming up and he was like, do you want to go with me to that one? And I was like, sure, let's go. And so we went to IshCon and Joe Fest had so many types of toys.
Yes.
And
it's kind of overwhelming.
Humongous venue. Yeah, it was a really big venue. And there was so many different lines. And then there was just people selling just random things. And IshCon was small. And
it's focused,
intimate.
Yes.
It is very Mythics centric.
Yes.
Horseman centric. Sorry, not Mythics, because we had the cosmic reveal. It is for horseman centric. But again, coming into Joe Fest, I liked the line because the toys are cool, but I really love the people.
Yes.
And IshCon, I really got to know the people. IshCon like solidified some of my relationships with some of the people within the organization, like the groups. I met the McCoys for the first time and it was funny. We're standing outside, like in the hallway waiting to go into the building. And I saw Tanya and I'm like, you're the Legions lady. And she's like, yes, I'm the Legions lady.
I love her accent.
Yeah. And we hit conversations and she's just is so nice, so wonderful,
welcoming and friendly, and
yes, absolutely
down to earth.
Yes. And so like we chatted a couple different times throughout the course of the weekend and she was telling me about a custom that she was making. And again, I'm not artistic at all. Never thought about making a custom figure in my life. And we were, just kind of walking around IshCon and I saw wings and I went, wonder if I could turn them purple. And I bet you those would be some cool fairy wings if I could turn them purple. And again, it was just like a fleeting thought, whatever. And it was funny because I had mentioned it to her and she goes, oh, I'm working on a fairy. And I was like, oh my God, how cool. And we just started talking about her customizing and she was very encouraging about, try it. And so I'm trying to remember, were we talking about Swigs already at that point? I don't know.
If not, it was going to happen soon.
Right. So I was like, because I know I've made the comment many, many times. And again, I don't know if it was at that point, because if we were talking about Swigs or just maybe even just talking about the fairy and fairy wings and customizing. And I was like, I'm not artistic. I'm going to end up making it look like a 5-year-old painted it. And that's just truly what I thought. I thought, okay, if I put paint to it, I'm going to wreck it. These are expensive figures to wreck. And, which I know we'll get to the customizing stuff in a minute, so I don't want to jump the gun. But these were the conversations that Tanya and I were having.
Right.
And she was just like super encouraging and telling me about her process. And I met Dirk's there for the first time, Dirk's Design.
What a guy.
He's so awesome.
He's an amazing human being.
Yeah. And we talked about like his, printed parts and stuff like that, because he's got so many cool ones. And then, you just really get to know these people because you're getting to spend time with them because it is such an intimate setting.
Right.
And instead of being, like you really get one-on-one time, which is unheard of at a con.
Yeah. I
get to really build those relationships. I mean, we'll jump ahead to Legions Con for a second. There were people I met at Legions Con for the very first time too, that I felt like I made huge connections with as well. But I think it laid the foundation for me.
Yeah.
And there's something about Ish. Ish is just the nicest kind
so
of. I say that
nice.
every my community though, so I feel like I'm repeating myself.
I know.
I'm nicest kindest mate.
Everyone is awesome.
Yes.
So many. It's chock full of great people.
Right. And then so we're in again, just mulling around and talking to people and getting to know people and stuff like that. And I remember I went up to the bar outside the it's still in the venue, but not in the little convention area. But right outside, they had like the little seating area and they had the bar, and they also had Starbucks there. And I'm a huge coffee drinker. So I was over there I think at that point I was getting a coffee. I know I had a few espresso martinis while I was there too, but I think I was getting a coffee. And I started talking to this person and they were like, oh, are you a collector, whatever? And I'm like, no, I'm just here with my boyfriend. And, we just chattering. Super nice person, just chattering. And then they did the cosmic reveal. And the person I'd been talking to was David Williams.
Oh, wow.
And so again, just like, it sounds so silly, but like you just start talking to just random people and they turn out to be like these, I don't want to say celebrities. Celebrity sounds really, but like being these personalities within the community.
Yes.
And these people who mean a lot to the toy community. And they are humble and down to earth. And they'll talk to anybody and strike up a conversation and make everybody feel welcome. And that's the thing that I get that surprises me the most. And I shouldn't say it surprises me the most, but it does. That, in a world where not everybody is nice all the time, every single person that I've come in contact with in the toy community has been just wonderful and nice and welcoming. And they're bringing you into the fold, and they'll talk to you about anything that you want. And watching David show Buzz off, and again, I know that's not the real name of the mythic
it's okay,
but and seeing how emotional he got and seeing how the room got emotional with him, like that solidified for me the genuineness of the people within the toy community. And this is a group of people I want to be part of. This people that are like-minded to me, and that I want to be with and around.
It's that mentality. It's like you see this, like, I fit. I want to be part of this, and it's welcoming. There's no gatekeeping. There's no elitism. There's no ego. I mean, there is maybe little bits here and there, but like it's inclusive. Like if you want in, you can be in, and like so it kind of solidified. So when did you decide to like join the cabal and be part of like the actual?
So I think I joined the cabal shortly after IshCon.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was shortly after IshCon. I know that's when I joined Legion's Ladies. And then just slowly Terrence would send me a new link to a new one of the sites, to a new one of the groups, because I don't think he wanted me to be overwhelmed.
Right.
So start with the Cabal and Legion's Ladies. And I think I'm now in, I know I'm in the Malignancy. I know I'm in the Brood. I know I think I'm in all of them. I know, yeah, I think I'm in all the little subgroups.
I think once you kind of figure out like how everything kind of works, then it's good to join other groups within that,
Yeah.
that thing. But yeah, you kind of started, like you started off smaller, or like, you join the community and kind of see how things are, and
Yeah.
and then then dive in. And so at that point, did you start buying your own figures, or
No.
were you still kind of like, I'm just hanging out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I was just like, again, at IshCon, I bought the wings that I want to turn purple. They still haven't turned purple yet. I bought the wings that I wanted to turn purple. And while I was there, we had been talking to Peter Johnson, and it wasn't his booth, but I think he was like sharing a table with somebody who had 3D printed heads. And they had this lion head. And I had my best friend's dad was a mason, and he used to make like the decorative lion heads and stuff for people's pools and stuff like that.
yeah,
And
I
it
love that
reminded
stuff.
me, yeah, this lion had reminded me of that. And I looked at Terrence and I was like, I think I want to paint that. And he was like, you want to what? And I was like, I think I want to paint that.
Like, for real? You do?
And yeah, he was like, okay. He's like, really? He's like, and I'm like, yeah. I said, it's gonna look like a 5-year-old did it, but I want to do it. And he was like, let's go. He pulled out his wallet. He's like, buy it. Anything else you want to paint? And I'm like, I think I just want to start there. You know what? We had to be talking about Swigs by that point, because I remember saying, before I took paint to Swig, I wanted to try it on a bigger head.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
So
and Terrence, he doesn't really paint stuff, does he? Like,
yes, he does.
Does he? I don't know if I've ever seen.
He actually has a window painting company. He goes out and he does.
Right. Yeah, I knew that part, but like, does he customize his own figures and stuff?
He's made a few. Yeah, he just doesn't have as much time on his hands to do it as I do.
He's a busy man.
Yeah, he's busy guy. So he, like, we've sat down. The first time I sat down at the customizing studio, we were at this table. He was sitting here. I was sitting right next to him. And we were on the customizing studio, and we were working on, actually, I painted that lion head. And I was testing out colors to try color combination for.
Yeah, I think I was there for a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Because I would kind of peek in and see what people were working on.
Yeah. He worked on a Swig that day. He worked on several different things that day. But so, and it's become like some family time for us to sit down and customize. Yes. But it's also become my quiet time too. And again, it's not something I ever like thought, hey, let me take a $50 figure and slap some paint on it and see what I make. And for me, I'm like, that's an expensive figure to go messing with and wrecking.
Right.
But when you start to see your vision coming to life, you're like, holy crap. I took this thing that was perfect and amazing, and I turned it into some other thing that's really awesome too.
Yes.
But for me, and I'm sure you can tell from the way this conversation's going all around the world, I have ADHD. So
yeah, I do too a little bit. So that's all right. I can follow you. You're fine.
Okay, good. But so my brain is always going a mile a minute. And when I'm painting and when I'm creating, because it's not something that's natural to me, I'm focused and I'm focusing in on it, and I'll have music going in the background or whatever. Like, it's been the Wicked soundtrack, because that's been the soundtrack of my life for the last year and a half since I
love that movie.
Saw it live for the first time in the theater.
Yeah.
And it's almost,
I loved it. I had some tears when she was doing the dance in the movie.
Yes.
And then Glinda came and she started. Yes. And then they kind of went to and Felba had And then I was like, "What's going on here? What is this?"
Dust. There's dust. There's dust in the room. It's fine.
Yeah. It's I got popcorn salt in my eye.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
There you go.
I loved it. I love that, the messages in that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's amazing. It's my second favorite musical.
Wait, what's the first?
Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh, I didn't know that was a musical.
It was on Broadway. It was a musical on Broadway for a couple of years, but this is like 20 something years ago. I saw Sebastian Bach playing Jekyll and Hyde.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yes, and he was like my teenage heartthrob, and I was early 20s. Me and my cousin went and saw it, and we like second row mezzanine seats, and it was just amazing. It was just amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then we went back on my birthday, and so here's my Sebastian Bach story. So we went at second row mezzanine. We come out of the theater, and this was the first time I'd ever seen anything on Broadway. And we come out and we see all these people gathered around this door. And we're like, what's everybody doing? And they're like, well, if you stand here, the actors will come out and they'll sign your playbill. And I was like, oh, cool. So we just kind of hung out. And we, we met a bunch of the cast members, and it was super cool. And then all of a sudden the door swings open just a little bit. And you see a leg pop out, and he shakes. And you see, and then the door swings open and out pops Sebastian Bach. And he sat and he bullshitted with us all for like signing autographs, taking
Isn't that amazing?
Super nice guy. Super, super nice guy. So fast forward, my cousin and I decided we want to go again. And this time, like her brother and sister and their spouses, everybody wants to go. We end up getting tickets on my birthday. And we end up with like third row seats.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we did good. And so the show was amazing again. We go to stand outside to, meet everybody again. And I had brought with me one of the photos that I had taken the first time for him to sign. And as he's signing, he's like, where did you get this picture of me? And I said, well, I took it the last time I was here. And he says, here's my email address. Will you please email it to me?
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, yeah, of course I will.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. So that's my Sebastian Bach story.
Wow. That's awesome.
And then that cousin of mine was my very best friend growing up. Everybody referred to us as the twin cousins because we looked exactly alike, only she has brown hair. And I just lost her to cancer a year ago.
Oh.
Yeah. But so Jekyll and Hyde holds a huge place in my huge place in my heart because we were obsessed with it.
Yes.
In our early 20s. And then
I love that you guys have that memory together.
Yes. But then Joe Gonsalves.
I have that picture. I was going to show that.
These guys.
Yes.
I went so crazy over them.
Love those.
Did I take them home with me? And it just makes me
Joe is another example of such an amazing
human.
Yes, he is just so extraordinarily kind and generous and friendly and thoughtful. Like at Legion's Con, I'm like, Joe, I'm so happy to see you. Yeah. And I'm like, we got to spend time. And he's like, yes, we'll spend time together. And every time I saw him, I was passing by in the hallway, and I'm like, Joe, I'm sorry. He's like, don't worry. We'll catch up. Yeah. And we're still playing catch up. Like Joe, I got to have you back on, and I'd love to talk to you again. Yeah. We'll for sure. And but I am such a huge fan of Joe.
Yeah.
He's the most kind, humble, and I love that he it's totally not out of character that he did that. That he gave you those. Yeah. Just such a kind dude.
Super, super amazing human.
Yes. I'm like, what's going on here? Are you okay? Yeah. My cable is moving. Oh, sorry. That's all right. Don't trip. Potato chip. Oh, okay. Oh, Gina says hi. Hi. She says hi. No. Sorry. Calm down. It's a long story, but I have an Ethernet cable going up the stairs because the house is old and like the Wi-Fi is not making it upstairs. So I had to buy this long 50-foot ether cable that's in everybody's way. So yeah. But no, I'm glad and grateful that you have also dove in like Terrence dove into the community and got to know
how
like
do you not once you start getting to know all of these wonderful people, how do you
my whole show is just talking about everybody else and how amazing this community is. That's my whole show. Like every once in a while I'll talk about a figure, like I've got around me, but yeah, it's like I all I do is gush about how wonderful the people are. I was talking to Eric Treadaway. His brother is like the videographer of the studio.
I met him during the Swig event.
So nice. Yeah, I had him on the show. I taped an episode yesterday and I was so interested in like what he thought of this community, like as not an outsider, but because he's not an outsider, but as someone that's not really part of it, but but his perspective is kind of unique. And that's something that was interesting to me to hear from you about how, at first you're kind of like with Terrence and like seeing how people are interacting and their friendliness, and it kind of like won you over and like made you want to be part of this. And I love that like, I always tell people it's like, be part of this community because it's amazing. Like once you realize how full this place is full of amazing people, like you want to be there, like you want to. So I'm glad that you.
Yeah, I mean, it started out with,
I'm glad that you're part of.
I'll go on vacation with him, sure.
Right.
And it was like, well, I want to go to the next one too, and the next one because I want to go see my friends.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a social gathering.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, I mean, for me, IshCon laid the foundation of a lot of friendships for me. Where Joe Fest kind of introduced me to people, IshCon made me have friends.
Right.
And then Legions Con was just amazing. It was just amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah. And then the Legions Ladies episode, I mentioned it on there. I wasn't sure whose idea it was, but it turned out to be Stacy Lynn's idea. In Legions Ladies, they had asked, who was going to Legions Con? And they took a poll or piling of whoever was going, and every single day they would spotlight a different lady who was going to Legions Con. So they'd post their picture and their name and, are they a collector or are they just a spouse or significant other of a collector? A little bit, that they were given as far as information about the lady so that they would walk in and feel like they had familiar faces they already knew. Because especially for the ladies that are not collectors, some of them, this was their first con. This was their first experience with anything Four Horsemen related. So they were walking into how many thousands of people that they knew nobody other than their other. So this way it kind of gave us a chance to kind of get to know each other beforehand. Or at least know that there was a friendly face. And I remember like there was a couple times I'm like, that's that lady, that's like
yes,
really nice. And even like we're walking up to the hotel, we had just pulled into the parking lot, we were going up to the hotel to go check in, and we saw Jordan and Steph and Jackie. And I had met Steph at IshCon, and of course I knew Jordan from Joe Fest and IshCon and the Purple Gang show, and so I already felt like he was my friend.
Yes, he's everybody's friend. He is.
I've seen Jackie in chats, but Jackie and I had never ever like conversed really outside of like YouTube chatter. Never met her, like never really interacted before. And as we walked up, she came running up and gave me like this giant bear hug.
Yes.
Said, Gina! And I was like,
Jackie!
Oh, Jackie knows who I am. And again, because she was a personality within the community, I knew who he was. I did not expect to be a blip in her radar.
Right.
So that was really like, talk about being welcomed in. Like that was, I was totally welcomed in that exact moment, you know?
Yeah.
And so, but that was how the whole weekend went. It was like being reunited with old friends. And some of them I was meeting for the very, very first time.
Reunited and it feels so good. Yeah. I agree. And I love that. Like I love that is a figure falling.
Yeah. Santa Swig went for a nosedive.
Mine do that too. Like it'll just like boop, like it'll just
Yeah.
some figures just fall. They're
Yeah.
jumpers. But no, I love that. Like when what was that? Was that at Legion's Con? Like when I introduced you, this is Gina. Like
Right.
this is not Terrence's girlfriend. Like you
Right.
have your own place
Yeah.
within the
Yeah.
community.
I was shocked at.
Yes.
I was completely shocked at
Isn't
because I was
that like so flattering though that like people
absolutely
embrace you and
right.
know you? Like I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I was trying to explain it to a friend of mine, because so it's funny because like I had posted a picture when I was in Charlotte for work, and I took a picture of myself in the Charlotte airport. And I immediately got messages from Ryan and from Tanya McCoy going, "You're in Charlotte. Why didn't you tell us?"
Right.
I was like, "It's a work trip." And I literally, from the moment I got off the plane until the moment I got on the plane, they had my schedule packed. I didn't have time to meet up with friends, but you know, otherwise I probably would have, you know, reached out to
Yeah.
the people in the North Carolina. Actually, I think Terrence might have reached out to a couple people in the North Carolina area with like, "Hey, we're looking for these toys. We can't find them in Florida. Gina's in
That
North
sounds like
Carolina. If you
Terrence.
can find
Yeah.
them." Yeah, I think that might have happened. I think I've heard
Yeah,
stories.
that sounds about right.
Yeah. But so you know, my friend saw their comments on my picture and she's like, "Who are these people?" And this is my very best friend. And I'm like, "These are people that I've met through the toy community." And she's like, "Gina, they're strangers. You can't go to dinner with them." And I'm like, "Why would I not go to dinner with them? They're my friends." And
Absolutely.
she's like, "But for someone on the outside who doesn't know the people in the
Yes.
community, her
Yes.
thought process is you're out of state and these are people you've met twice." Yes, but these are people I talk to as regularly as I talk to you. You know,
Yes.
these are people that I've built relationships with
Yes.
already.
100%.
You know, and while I've only met them in person a handful of weekends, we've had so much quality time together.
Yes, connecting,
That
like
yes,
genuine like connections with
yes,
people
yes,
that are
yes,
just genuine people. They're just real,
yes. But
yeah.
yeah, it was just so funny to me. I was so tickled by her reaction. And no, you have, and again, it wasn't like, well, Terrence isn't with me. They didn't care that Terrence wasn't with me. They
Right.
wanted to spend time with me.
Yes.
You know, and so it's really funny to see from again my perspective of I came in as a tag along, and now I have my own set of friends within.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, Terrence
yeah.
is not even on this show right now.
Right. He's at
He's not
work.
here. I'm talking to
I get
you.
to hang out with his friends while he's at work. I did that on
Yes.
in the customizing studio. I'm like, "You're at work. I'm gonna go hang out with your friends."
Yes. No, I love that. Like I'm always happy to see people really embrace and be embraced by the
Mhm.
community. Like that interests me. And like I love hearing those stories about, how people really get to know like how wonderful these people are and everyone just fits together and treats everyone the right way. And I'm just happy. I
Yeah.
love that.
And
I love that you're part of it.
yeah, well, and it's so funny because again, it's that whole every single person that I've encountered, and I know I keep starting to talk about the customizing, and I don't know if we're quite there
We're
yet.
getting ready. Yeah, we're getting
Okay,
ready. I've got it queued up.
okay, well, because what I was going to say was we were watching the Purple Gang show the one night, and again, in that conversation, some of the conversations that I had with Dirks, and I can't remember if it was at IshCon or after IshCon, and I started telling him about some of my ideas that I was planning on for my swig. And I was asking him for his opinion on how to do things. I was asking Jordan and Van on their opinions on how to do things because I had this vision in my mind for what I wanted to do with swig. But
Mhm.
again, I'm not creative. I'm not artistic. I fully expected it to
Well,
look like
apparently you are.
And right, I didn't know it was hidden in the back somewhere. But I didn't know, and I expected it to look like a 5-year-old did it. But I wanted to try to do my best because the way I looked at it was this was his brain. This was Terrence's brainchild event.
It
Um,
really is. Yes,
and
absolutely.
yeah, and it was amazing that he gets random thoughts all the time, but he threw this random thought
I've
out
witnessed that.
and people gravitated to it, and it
Yes.
was a super cool idea, and it was a super cool event. And truly, when I started making, because he was like, "Are you going to make a swig?" And I'm like, "Of course I'm going to make a swig," because I'm looking at it as I'm being supportive of his idea.
Yes. Right.
I'm doing it for him. I'm doing it to be supportive of him and his idea.
Hmm.
And I expect it to look like crap, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do my best at it. But I had this idea in my brain, and I don't know what made me think of it, but I was like, how do I turn Swig into Gollum?
Hmm.
And so I started talking to the guys about it. I started talking to Dirks about it, picking his brain. Van and Jordan, I started picking their brains, and I was like, "Do you think I could do like this and this and whatever?" And they're like, "Oh, that would work, and that probably wouldn't work." And like again, just talking me through it and
Hmm.
giving me advice. And like these guys make money selling their products; they don't have
Right.
to, and they totally are super helpful.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yes.
and so we were watching the Purple Gang Gang show one night, and there was a giveaway, and it was 2 heads that Dirks had printed. And Terrence was like, "Gina, please enter this one because I want those heads. He's like, I want those." And I was like, "Okay." So, I dropped my, the hashtag in the thing, and I won. Um,
Wow. I didn't know
and
that.
yeah, so it was super cool. So he got the 2 heads that he wanted, but because Dirks and I had been having conversations about how I was going to start painting for the very first time, when we talked about it, he was like, when I gave him the address and stuff, and he was like, "I know that you're new to painting and stuff like that, so I'm going to throw in some extra fodder pieces." He was like, "They're just fodder. They are imperfect, so these are the perfect ones for you to practice on." And I was expecting like 1 or 2 things. This man sent me like a handful. Like, I mean, I have a whole box of practice pieces that he just sent me just to be kind. Yes. Yes. That's the one. So
Yeah.
those are just all the fodder pieces that he gave me so I could practice.
That's amazing.
Right.
That's so Dirk
Yeah.
and Purple
And
Gang
that's
Gang.
what I'm
Like,
saying about
yeah.
this community as a whole. There's so many good people in there. There's so many encouraging people
Yes.
because they want everybody to, I don't know if the word step out of their comfort zone, but that's exactly what I needed to do. Uh,
Yes.
Along with my ADHD, so I have a hard time staying on task. I'm a perfectionist.
Hmm.
And I think that's why I never bothered trying to do anything artistic before because I didn't think it was going to come out the way I wanted it to.
Right. Because
And
you can't jump to expert. You have
right,
to, you
right.
want
You have to
perfection.
baby steps, but I get
Yes.
frustrated with the baby steps. Um, so I never really bothered. I never really took the time. And again, I didn't think that I could sit long enough to do
Hmm.
it. Because even here, I'm bouncing around. I have a hard time sitting still. I talk with my hands. I, do all the things. Um, but for me, it's been a calming thing. It quiets
Hmm.
my brain. My brain is quiet because it's focused. It's doing something that's hard, and so it focuses me, and it's been really awesome.
So,
But yeah, so like again, just that encouragement from the community, the
yes.
people who are willing to provide. I mean, I pepper pour Curtis Ackerman with 1,000 freaking questions.
Absolutely. I
That
do
makes
too.
the most patient man because he'll just
Yes.
here's the link, here's the link, here's the
Yeah.
information. I mean,
Yeah. He's like the Papa Bear of the
yeah,
community. Like he will
yeah,
answer. I message him not all the time, but when I first started this show, like he's like, if you ever need help or ask if questions, I'll help you. If you want
yeah,
someone to produce the show and be, I can do that. And I'm like, thank you very much. Like, and I asked him questions all the time, like,
yeah.
how do you do this? How do you do that? Or what do you think about this? And so,
Yeah, well, it was
he's
funny. I said to Terrence like 2 days ago, I said, I think that Curtis is as proud of me as I am proud of me for making Elphaba. Uh, I think
he
he's just
should
as
be.
proud of me. I think he's
Yes.
just as proud
It's
of me.
It's amazing. It is amazing.
Thank you.
I guarantee he's going to bring it up in one of his shows if he hasn't
I'm
already.
on his show this weekend, so I'm sure.
Well, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I get to show up first, but this episode's not going to air until January. So, never mind. Curtis got me.
I think
So let's.
Van made him show it on one of the shows last weekend. I forget which show it was now, but I was on and I was just in the YouTube, the chat, and Curtis like, Gina did her thing, she finished it, and Van's like, pull up the picture. So, and again, they don't have to do that. Like they're just as excited.
Goodwill. They're
Right.
goodwill ambassadors.
Yes.
Yeah. And they encourage. They want to see people
they
succeed,
want to learn, grow, and be the best version of themselves they can be. And
customizing studio it's one. I'm such a fan of it because it gets people out of their comfort zone. It gets them like there's people there that don't talk. They just sit there, or they just watch, or they just listen. And just soak up, and then eventually maybe they will start to, like I would jump on and be like, hey, what are you working on, Tanya? Or what are you working on, Jesse? Or whatever, even if I wasn't working on something, it was fun to see what other people are doing or just hanging out. Like, I love that.
Right. Well, that was the first one that I was in. Somebody was talking about dry brushing. I'm like, what the heck is that? And so they sat down and they explained it to me. And I've used that technique now. So it's like, there's no gatekeeping of information. It is, you ask the question, you're going to get the answer.
Yes.
And they want to teach you. They want to help you.
They want to share.
They want to share. And there's never, oh my God, you could have learned this on YouTube. There's never any kind of negativity to their response.
No pretension.
Right. And, it's, and when I've said, I'm not going to be good at this, they're like, everybody has to start somewhere.
Right.
Only going to get better as you go. And I remember Tanya, because I had seen pictures of some of the stuff Tanya had done before I saw them in person at Legion's Con. And she's like, Gina, I'm going to tell you the truth. I thought the first ones I made were good. And now I go back and look at them and I go, holy crap, I came so far. And you're going to do the same. She's like, but you got to start. If you don't start, you're not going to progress. And so that encouragement that, hey, give it a try.
Well, I think the secret too is to pick something that interests you.
Yes.
Like if you're not interested in painting flowers or not interested in painting, pick something that you want to work on, something that you're interested. Like she does like these the mascots.
Yes.
And they're amazing. Like I've never seen any of these before. Like she's making these amazing sports mascots.
Yes.
I'm like, wow, those are incredible,
They are. They absolutely are.
Let's take a look at your swig here. So
there he is in progress. I turned him purple.
Now, is this the one that you said you wanted to make a golem?
Yes.
Okay.
This is mine. I was making him
other way.
Yeah. So I turned him into an ode to Gollum.
I love it.
So he started out green swig, and then I turned him this iridescent purple color. There he is.
Yes. I love it.
And I was petrified painting his face. I'm like, okay, I know I cannot fix the eyes, and I know that I do not have the talent for the mouth. So let's go super, super careful and don't mess up the amazing work that the horsemen have done on his eyes and his mouth.
Yeah.
And so I prayed, and it was so funny because Terrence had said to me, he's like, Gina, take some of the blue stuff and put it in the eyes and put it over the mouth, and then you don't have to worry about, stray paintbrush marks. And I didn't do that. I just took the smallest brush possible, and I had on the highest magnifying lenses that went on the little magnifying thing that Tanya told me about.
I need to get one of those.
It's life-changing. It is life-changing. But I as I did his face.
Wait. Let me embiggen you. Hold on. There
As
we go. Wait. Okay.
There you go. Oh, this way. There he goes. As I did his little face, I just prayed. Like I just
Yes.
prayed, and I went with the tiniest brush, and I was just like, let's hope. And if I mess it up, then poor Terrence is gonna have to fix me.
I love the iridescence. I love
Yes,
that
yeah,
so
that
much.
was yeah. And then I was like, well, I want him to have the ring, but we're gonna have him on a table, and we're gonna be traveling with him, and I don't want to lose the ring. So I gave him an earring.
I was gonna ask you that.
So that is
I
his ring.
love that.
And then the fish actually came from Dirks. When Dirks was sending me all the stuff to practice with, he also sent me a golden fish. And I made the pants. I just grabbed some cloth at Joann's, and I was like, I can figure out what shape pants should be, right? And I
Right.
sewed them, and they're awful, but they work. And his little feet. I'm in love with his little feet.
Yes. Let me see those feet.
Let me see. See those little feet? Those
Look
little
at those little feet. So how much of that swig is swig?
So the legs are swig.
Okay.
And the head is swig.
He's got some like buff arms.
Yeah.
He's like muscular.
These are foosh arms.
Okay.
These were those red foosh arms, and there is like a shit ton of green stuff in there to hold them in. The body is from Wolf King Customs.
Yeah.
His torso, and then the feet are, I don't know, from eBay. I forget the name.
Yeah.
Of the
I love the feet. Yeah, I love the feet.
Yeah. And Terrence had to help me rig the feet because they didn't actually fit. Because I guess they're a bigger figure. But yeah, I love the feet.
So was that your first?
This was my first custom.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how good did you feel when you're done? You're like, I freaking did this.
I had never been so happy or proud of myself in my whole life. I still look at his little face and smile. I love his little face.
I love his face. Yeah, that you did such a good job on that.
Yeah. And again, I mean, the horseman did a good job on his face.
But I mean,
around it. I just
that
around it.
color looks so good on his face. Like I think that iridescence, it really like all the little wrinkles like around his little pug.
And that's where I used the dry brushing technique.
Yeah.
Was I took a little bit of a darker purple because the rest of him is a little bit lighter.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took the darker and I dry brushed to catch all of those little wrinkles. And then I took a little bit lighter and hit it again in different spots. Awesome. And I did the same thing on his body.
I wonder if David Williams has seen that. Did he see that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
his swig face is very similar. Yeah. Yeah. His death metal one was awesome. Completely awesome.
So like related to that story of Joe G giving you those Jekyll and Hyde, the same thing, like my friend Dylan. I don't know if you met Dylan at Legion's Con.
Yes.
He had made this amazing Hellboy swig.
Yes.
And didn't know that David Williams was a huge Hellboy fan. So he gave him that awesome. Hellboy. So it's just another example of how amazing this community is.
Yes. Yes.
So after your swig, you're like, I can do this. Like, this is amazing. Right. So
as I was doing swig, and as I was like, it was funny because again, the Wicked soundtrack is in my life all the time. So I remember making the comment, I'm like, I'm sitting here listening to the Wicked soundtrack where, they're talking about like the theory of the first half of the movie is how, she hates being green. They treat her bad because she's green. And this is what I'm listening to as I'm changing swig from green to purple. Very, very wrong.
Like, oops. Sorry, swig.
Soundtrack. So I was like, I want to make Alphabet right now.
Yes.
But I knew we had a deadline for swig. So I was like, I have to finish swig first. Like I have to finish swig first.
Yeah.
So I was like, as soon as I get home, Alphabet's happening.
Yes. So
and it took me about a month. It took me about a month to start.
Wait. Meanwhile, you brought swig to Legion's Con.
I did.
Let me see. I got a picture. I want to show that. So
Yep.
there's your swig.
Yep.
Among other swigs.
Among other swigs. Yep.
And I before we tackle the Wicked custom.
Okay.
This was a huge undertaking that you guys did.
Yeah.
Like you guys, like Terrence didn't go half-ass again. Like you were there registering people. Like I gave you gave me a tag and you know my swig, which is right there at the bottom left with the giant black wolf.
Yes.
My swig. But like it's just amazing like how many people, thanks to Terrence's work and then you helping and being there for him. And then at the end, you guys, you know, basically were the custodians of this. I left my swig and left, and I'm getting messages like, "Hey, man, pick up your swig," and I'm like, "Oh, can you get it for me?" But like, you guys did so damn much.
It was so fun.
It was just
really
unbelievable.
Was so much fun. So what can I say about the swig event? Other than the fact that it was amazing to see.
It was amazing.
So many swigs, so many people participate, so many different viewpoints of swig.
Yeah.
So many different visions of swig that came to life in so
yes.
many ways. And to be a part of that was just, I get goosebumps every time I talk about it.
Yes, I love it. It was like a blank slate. The swig was
Yeah.
like a blank slate, and it's like everyone put their personalities to it. Like right here, there's like 3 or 4 people from the studio here checking out.
So that's what I was going to say. For me, personally, selfishly, well, I'll backtrack for a second. I knew Terrence was like, okay, we have to have some kind of system to make sure that everybody gets their swig back. Because the last thing that we want to happen is somebody not get back their swig. So he came up with the idea of the tags. And I said to him, I said, we need a phone number or an email address or something like that so that we have a contact. Because again, we can find some people through Facebook, but if maybe they're not part of the cabal, something like that. So as people were coming in, we were giving them the tags. I'm like, hey, if you're going to be here at the time they take the picture, then you don't have to give me a phone number. I'm not trying to collect people's phone numbers here.
Right.
But if there's any chance that we might have to find you later, put your phone number down.
That's a great idea.
Or some kind of contact information for you, because we want to make sure that you get back your swig. And so we knew that we needed some kind of cataloging system. We didn't know exactly what at first. And we didn't have any big conversations about how it was going to run. Like we knew, again, we had like a relative idea, but I had no idea that morning that I was going to be running the swig intake board.
Well,
I know that I was going to be doing that. I had gone downstairs and I had collected from the booth that Jesse was at. And I had collected from Curtis and Darla and from Tanya and Kevin McCoy. Because those were the first 3 tables as I walked into the vendor room. The idea was I was going to go collect from the vendors and then bring them up so that they didn't have to leave their tables. And when I came back up with the swigs from those 3 tables and set them up, at that point we had a line of people that were dropping off their swigs.
There was a line.
And and so at that point I just started working the swig intake booth. And just talking to, so this is where it becomes that selfish part for me. It was the coolest thing because I got to meet so many people and spend one-on-one time with them while they're filling out that little form. Like it was silly, but for me, I now have names to go with the faces and a conversation, so that I'm terrible about remembering people's names. I will always remember a face and I will be like, I know you, but it might take me a minute to figure out the name that goes with the face. That's just me. And it's not that I'm uncaring or not paying attention, but again, ADHD squirrel brain, I will remember the face. I might not always remember the name that goes with it, but now I've had conversations with these people. So now I know their name because now I've had time with them.
Yes. Right. Absolutely.
So for me, selfishly, like that was the coolest thing for me because I got to like talk to 300 people, and it was funny because Terrence said to me, he goes, you just chattered all day long. And I can be quiet by nature, especially when it's people I don't know. I used to refer to myself as shy, and I had a friend that looked at me and said, "You have no shy bones in your body. You are reserved. You are reserved until you get to know the people.
Yes.
But you take stock of the room before you talk." And I didn't have time to be reserved that day.
Right.
You know, and it wasn't that I didn't want to go back downstairs and take more swigs from other people, but at that point, it was just constant flowing in of
Yeah, the line was like down the hallway.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And so,
I got off the elevator and I'm like, oh my God, this
yeah,
is insane.
yeah. And it was funny because Terrence said to me afterwards, he was like, I just looked over and all of a sudden you were just doing all the things. You were just handling the crowd. And I started laughing. And the thing is, I used to help my best friend run pool tournaments. And we would do all the intake of the players, and we would do raffles, and we would do all kinds of things. And there was always prize money involved and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so I teased her afterwards. I'm like, thank you for training me for Swig Day, because all the skills that you taught me helping you with the pool tournaments, I used in the Swig intake room.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so it was just so funny because he's like, you just handled all the things.
Yeah.
And, and it was to look over and see him and see pride on his face towards me.
Yes.
I was
Absolutely.
helping, and just I was going, and doing, and I'm not making a whole lot of sense here. I'm not finishing
No,
sentences.
absolutely. No,
Um,
absolutely. I mean, it
but
ran so perfectly. Like,
yeah,
people cycled through, they dropped off, some they would stop and look. Like
yeah,
the hall was big enough so that once people were able to come in and get their tag and put their figure on the table and then look, and then it just started growing and people
yeah,
were like, "Whoa, like how
yeah,
many is this?"
yeah, yeah,
And,
and then
and it just worked so well. And then you had like, Rebecca and his name, what's his Jonathan?
John, yeah,
John, yeah. And they
yeah,
came and pictures and like
yeah,
everything. It
yeah.
just I know I was just like an infrequent like interloper, but just seeing it work for you
It was so
guys,
awesome. It was so
I was
awesome.
like, whoa, this is awesome. It's like way
Yeah,
better and way
yeah,
more amazing, and everything worked. And
yeah. And
all your hard work
my
paid off.
vantage point in the corner of that room, I got to see when the horseman came in and saw it. And I get chills
Mhm.
every time I think about it. To see their faces when they walked into this room and saw these
Yeah.
tables full of hundreds of swigs,
Yeah.
and to hear, and again, I'm new to the community. I don't really know these guys yet, but to overhear the guys from the studio, Cornboy was one of them, and I think it was Chris, but I'm not sure if it was Chris or not. So I apologize if it was the other person. But to hear them talking about it and having them say how cool it was,
Absolutely.
seeing them get popcorn salt in their eyes
Mhm.
in that room, and
Yes.
seeing like there was one point where across the room from me was Jeremy and Eric,
Mhm.
and they were talking about it, and Eric was like, this is so cool, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And seeing the horsemen get excited about what our community did,
Right.
and parents kept saying it's like a love letter, a thank you to them on their anniversary, that
Absolutely.
we love their product that much that we've collected them, we've amassed them, we've made them our own. We've put our own little stamp on them, and we
Mhm.
brought them back to say thank you.
Yeah.
Um, and to see them get excited about that, to see them get a little choked up over that,
Right.
it gives me chills.
Absolutely.
Like it was such an emotional and amazing moment. That's one of those things. I forget, one of the shows I heard somebody saying, what's the one thing that you're going to take with you forever from Legion's Con? That's going to be one of the things I take
Mhm.
with me forever from Legion's Con, is seeing those moments, and just seeing their emotion
Right.
was just amazing. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
What a win though for Terrence too. Like I'm so proud of
Me
him and
too.
his work. Like that guy, like just put so much time and effort and energy into the
And
campaign
love
of a
the
thousand
fact
swigs,
that, yes,
and to
absolutely.
see it culminate,
Yeah.
and it turn out so well. I'm just like, damn, Terrence, that you nailed the landing, like 10 out
Yes.
of 10,
Yeah.
10
Yeah.
out of 1,000 out of 10. Like you did. So I take my swig hood off to Terrence, like, and like you both of you guys together, because you're partners. So I mean, you shared in the work and hearing his plans and his schemes and all
Yeah.
that, and helping him execute. Like I can't
Yeah.
I can't thank you guys enough for how amazing that turned out.
It was awesome. It was so much fun for us. I'm so proud of him. And again, just to know that we did something that brought the community together for something fun.
Right.
Uh, Knowing like Eric Miller had his kids making, oh, his kids asked,
Yes. Yes.
and I fangirl over Eric Miller's costumes.
Eric
I'm a
Miller.
Disney girl, and
Yes.
his costumes are
I
amazing.
I knew that. Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, I'm a fan. Like, I had a
yeah.
moment. I went okay. So Eric Miller, I bought my first head sculpt from him. Like
Okay,
so he was basically him and Curtis were the first customizers I ever met in the community. And Eric was very quiet but very friendly. He had posted about a head sculpt or a bunch of head sculpts that he had. And I saw one that I wanted. It was a female, and I'm like, I want that head. And it was there, and I'm like, can I please? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I took it home, and I joke now. I'm like, I still don't have a figure perfect enough for that head sculpt. But so at Legion's Con, just a quick, um, I just happened to get in the elevator, and him and his family were in there, and we're, hey Eric, how you doing? And he's like, hi, and I'm a fan. Like he's just an
Mhm.
amazing person, and kind and friendly and amazingly stupidly talented. And anyway, so we're riding down, and he goes to his daughter. He goes, "Do you know who that is?" And she's like, "No, like who?" And he goes, "What's our Wi-Fi password?" She goes, "Schmerber," and I'm like, "No
I love
way, dude."
that.
So for my 184 or 5 followers, please forget that Eric's Wi-Fi password is my last name. But I was like, "Thank you for sharing that." I mean, it's
I
it's
love
it's
that.
crazy, but like, just that Eric would even think of, my last name. you know, you didn't have to, but I appreciate that. And yeah,
That's
Eric's
awesome.
Eric's just another one of those amazing people like you and Terrence, amazing people in this community that I totally adore. And I'm grateful that so before we go, but I just want to say thank you for spending an hour with me. I appreciate
Of
that.
course.
But I do
No,
want to show your custom. So
invite in. And
got
we feel the same way about you. We
thank
adore the out of you.
thank you. So you got home and you're like, now is the time. So did you have a plan?
Yeah.
Like you're like Thrace
Grace
is
is it because her whole torso and arms are perfect. I really didn't have to do
yes.
a heck of a lot to them, except I didn't realize they're brown.
It's
So I
kind of
had
a
to paint them
rich
black.
dark brown. Yeah.
Right. Dark brown. So I had to paint them black, which I didn't realize until I really started pulling her out of the box and looking.
Hmm.
I figured she was going to be pretty much a pop and swap. I was going to paint her face green, and that was pretty much all I was going to have to do and figure out a skirt. And I've made tutu skirts before.
Hmm.
When I did a diaper cake for my friend, my very best friend, when she was having her daughter, I made a diaper cake and I made a tutu. But I
Hmm.
started with like a form and just kind of made the tulle skirt. So I started looking on YouTube for how do I make a doll skirt out of tulle.
Hmm.
And so I was like, all right, let's give it a try. And that's kind of how I do with my customizing stuff. I'm like, all right, let's give it a try. Let's see what happens. Worst case scenario is I wrecked a figure that Terrence bought for me. Um,
That's all right.
so
It's worth it.
I turned her into
Man.
Alpha. And as I made her, it's just like my swig. Every time I look at her, I am filled with pride
Yes.
and joy. And I can't wait to make Glinda, but I had to make Elphaba first because she's always been my favorite. Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, so I
Is
made,
she there? Can you show her off?
yes,
Let's
yes.
see.
So here she is.
Love it.
And I used the color shift paint. So that's
Yes.
like that little bit of yellow to her. I
Why
actually,
did you think of that? Like that's
um,
genius. I love
well,
that.
it was the same paint that I used for him.
Okay.
His, I lightened his a little bit. It was like
Yeah.
a purple, and I lightened it with a little bit of white. Um, so I've got this terrible thing where I get these ideas of colors in my brain, and the paint never matches. So I always end up like
It
mixing.
takes a
My
while. Yeah.
bathroom and my hallway are both a color that was not what was mixed by the store.
Yeah.
I start messing with it because I've got an idea in my brain, and so. But I
Oh,
saw
that
this.
is
Her
gorgeous.
color was, it's like a dragon something,
Yeah.
dragon flash from Color.
Wow.
And I just was like, that is not quite Elphaba green, but I like it.
It's
And
beautiful.
so, and then I got some flat black, and then I got some glossy black paint for her hair.
Yeah.
And then I just painted her chest piece and her arms, that the so flat black that Curtis and Tanya both recommended. And then I just retouched all of the what would be the thread lines with
Yeah.
silver paint in a really tiny brush and prayed. And if you look close, there's imperfections. Like nobody's going to pay money for this figure. But I love her because, again, she is
Beautiful.
my second custom. I
Yes.
made the skirt with just some ribbon and tulle. And, but you can see I practiced because I knew the skirt was going to cover everything. So her legs are my practice fodder. You can see there's like all kinds of colors in
Yeah.
here that are different from what I ended up landing on,
Yeah.
but nobody's going to see that part.
Right.
So that's where I got to like practice and mess with it without worrying about messing up the figure. Um,
I love it. I think it's amazing. I mean, Thrace is a beautiful figure, but
yes.
you made that figure equally as beautiful. Like it that the green just like
I know. I love it.
yes, I didn't realize like in the pictures, it doesn't really show, I think, like that, like that type of
Mm-hmm.
let me see here the picture here. Add to
I
stage.
know there was one where it almost looked like she had yellow on her forehead, and I'm like, she's
Yeah.
not really yellow, guys.
But no, I'm a fan. I think that is amazing. I love that you did that. And it just so happened like that's when I went and saw the movie. So
Yeah.
I'm Team Wicked right now.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, again, I
Yeah,
love
I
her.
love it.
I'm going to make a pink tulle skirt for Glinda. And I am 90% sure it's going to be a Dorina that gets turned into Glinda. But there's a part of me that might want to do the ghost as her.
The Ghost is a great body for, multiple
Right.
female,
Yeah. But I only bought one for customizing. So I'm like, do I want to use her for Glinda or do I want to save her?
I know I only have one and I'm like, geez, I wish I had had the money to buy another or a
Yeah,
couple.
that's exact. I'm like, it
Yeah,
just hit at weird paycheck periods. So it was like,
I get
be
that. And it's
responsible, only buy
Christmas.
one. Be responsible, only buy one. And
Yes.
oh, I should have bought like 2 or 3.
Well, let me know if you need any Dorina parts because I've got a lot of parts. So
Okay. Yeah, I
um
actually just bought myself one of those ornament boxes. I found it on sale at Target for like $7.
you're in there now. Like
I've
there's
got
no
pieces.
escape.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like,
You are
I'm so all in at this point.
I love it.
Um,
I
but
love
it's
it.
funny because like everybody's like, I remember conversation with Tanya as well, where she said they always have one that is exactly the way that the horseman made it. It is perfect the way
Yes.
the horseman made it. And then they have the other ones that they go and customize and make
Yes.
things
Yeah,
with.
that's it. I'm
And
not a big customizer. I love the stuff that they make, but every once in a while I'll be like, you know what, that would make a cool this,
right,
or that would make a cool that. So yeah,
right.
every once in a while I'll buy.
And it's for me, I started out with the idea of my fairy that,
Mhm.
I thought of at IshCon. And then I was like, I want a light fairy and a dark fairy, like a good versus evil, like the angel and devil, and I'm going to put them, because I'm on Zoom calls for work all the time. I'm going to put them behind me at work, like angel and devil on my shoulder.
Good, thank you.
And then I saw Dorina's boots, and the edge of the boot looks, this is what happens to my brain. The edge of the boot looked to me like a leaf. And then I'm like, now I want to make a woodland fairy because I need to paint that to look like a leaf. So that became, I actually have a little book where I'm putting like all my little ideas and figuring out which pieces I need, which
good idea.
And because again, I don't know the line all that well, but Terrence does. So I'm like, this is what I'm thinking. What do I need?
Absolutely, yeah. Or reach out to the community too.
Right. And then like I'll throw that into the customizing studio going, hey, I'm looking for something like this. And they'll come back and tell me ideas of, ways to make that happen. And then I got the idea for Wicked. And then at Legion's Con, so Terrence was laughing. He was like, I shouldn't have brought you here because you're coming up with too many ideas. This is going to be expensive. I walked in and I picked up one of Darla's capes. And I went,
amazing capes.
Yes. But she didn't have any that were hooded. So I'm like, I need to commission a hooded cape because I now need to make a mage. The moment I picked it up, I had this picture in my brain of a mage with a hooded cape, but hooded. And she was like, okay. She's like, okay, we can do that. She's like, but I'm not doing it today. And I was like, no, I didn't expect it today, but I've things in my list ahead of that now because again, it popped in my brain. And then, so as we were walking through, we went to the Carver Customs booth and I saw the perfect purple light up staff. And I'm like, I need that for my mage. And Terrence's like, well, what figure is it going to be? And I'm like, I don't know yet.
You're still working it out in your mind.
Right. Again, these are just like, I'll look at something, I'll pick something up and be like, ooh. And so he's like, oh boy, I don't know. I think we might have unleashed a monster.
Well, I can't wait to see your creations. I can't wait to see your future creations. And I'm so proud and grateful that you're part of this community, that Terrence, kind of dragged and pulled you into it, but not too hard.
Not kicking and screaming, but yeah.
Right. So I'm super glad that you're here, and I can't wait to see things that you create, and I can't wait to see you at cons again. And I'm just grateful, and I appreciate you coming on tonight. I hope that maybe you'll come back.
Absolutely.
whenever you're free, drag Terrence with you, and we'll talk about it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on here. This was super fun.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I had a great time, and I appreciate you sharing. Thank you for sharing your customs and your stories and all that. Thank you very much. About your best friend and the Broadway play. I love that, and I love that you've also like embraced the Legion's Ladies and are part of that. Like Legion's Ladies, I wanted to bring that up, but
great group of people.
Yes, Legion's Ladies is such an awesome. Like I love that, and I love that the studio recognizes it. They had Nate Barch. That it's just. I love that. Like the studio, it's like, can they do anything wrong? Like they're just the nicest, they're greatest
amazing. They're
people.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, they're these wonderful creative people. They come up with these amazing products, but they're kind and they're down to earth, and they sit there and they talk to you like you're an equal, even though it's their product line.
Right. Yeah.
And I cannot imagine any other company or any other product line being like, you want to go customize our figure? Cool. We can't wait to see what you do. Like,
right.
A lot of companies
they encourage it.
Set by this. A lot of companies would be like, that's copyright infringement, or
right.
Getting upset with people over it. And they're like, cool, what'd you do?
Right.
Let me see it. They get excited with us, and they're in there with us, and they are fans alongside us.
Yes.
And you don't see that.
It's endearing.
Yes. And again, like the swig event. So after the swig event, Terrence and I were walking around the floor, and Corn Boy came up to us. He sought Terrence out to say thank you and to tell him how amazing it was. And Terrence was like, if we do it again, I'd love to be part of it. Let me know how I can help you. And he said, oh no, we've already talked about it. George and I, we're doing this every year until we hit 1,000.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it was so cool to see how excited and grateful and, again, down to earth they are. That
Yes. Right.
they,
Yeah. They're
like, most companies would be like, all right, we did our thing, our GCon thing with our fans, and we've spent time with them. We don't have to go out of our way for them. But they were on the con floor, not just in their room, but in the I don't know, it wasn't the customizing room, but it was like the where people were selling other products that were
right.
adjacent.
Yes.
I don't know what that room was called, but anyway, that room, they were in that room and they were talking to people and they were interacting with everybody.
Yeah.
Um,
I think.
Even after the con was over at night in the lobby areas, they were out there mingling and chatting
Yeah.
and
Well, I
like
think they look forward to that. Like they love,
they
to see
love their
them.
people.
But yeah, they'll go out into the group and like chat and like friend up,
Yeah,
and just just relax and be with us, and I love that.
yeah,
Like that. I consider them my friends. Like they're
yeah.
the coolest, nicest, most accessible. Like tomorrow, I'm interviewing Cornboy. It's like,
Oh, that's awesome.
like I don't know. I love this community and the studio. They're just,
Yeah,
they fill a
yeah,
place in my heart that I didn't know was missing, but now
yeah,
it's full.
yeah.
So
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
Anyways, I will let you go.
Okay.
To be continued. We will talk
Yeah,
again. Tell Terrence I said hi,
I
and
will. He
I
says
look
tell you
forward.
hi. Well,
Yes, yes. Tell him to not work so hard. Tell him to slow
right.
down a little bit. Slow down.
Yeah.
But anyways, I appreciate you, and you have a good rest of your week,
Thank
and
you.
enjoy the holidays. Merry Christmas to you,
Merry Christmas to you.
and I will see you in the community.
Absolutely. I'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. Thanks,
Anytime.
guys. Appreciate
All
it.
right.
Remember, friends, to always have fun, be curious, share, and enjoy what this line has to offer. Come for the toys, but stay for the friends. Good night, and thank you very much.